So I have a bit of an emotional hoarding problem, which may just be a polite way of saying that I have a hoarding problem. It's not, full blown TLC hoarders situation, but it's certainly not good. I do just have a lot of stuff that I can't quite seem to get rid of. And that extends to crafting supplies. That extends to my yarn collection, and that extends to my newly minted fabric collection. And it's not that I, with materials, am necessarily hoarding the materials because I can't get rid of them. It's that I get them because I'm excited about them. But then I wait until there's the absolute perfect project for that material. Or I wait until the absolute right shining, glistening moment is handed to me on a silver platter for when to use it. And I'm trying to get over that. I'm trying to just use the stuff that I have to make whatever. Because at a certain point, I am, especially with sewing, still very much a beginner. I've been sewing for less than a year. So at a certain point, I do just need to make things in order to practice. I can't save all my materials for a perfect good project, especially because I still don't necessarily have all of the skills that I need or the practice that I need in order to make pristine stuff. And, the philosophy of only buy material when you have a project in mind is good. That's a great philosophy to have. I didn't start out that way with yarn. I just sort of started collecting it, and it hasn't gone that way so far with fabric, partly because I did a lot of no-buy requests in my local no-buy group to get practice fabric, but now that I have all this practice fabric, I'm like, oh, I have to save it for the absolute perfect thing to make this with. As though it's not practice fabric, as though it's like proper stuff. Not that it's not proper, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to get over that by just making things. By just using what I have and making stuff. Because I need practice, because my goal for this year is to finish 3 projects, sewing projects, and it's almost May, and once I finish this last minute wrap skirt, I will have made 3 things. One of my goals for the year, one of my New Year's resolutions, was to consume all of my nicest things. And I know for goals you're supposed to set, concrete, attainable, SMART goals. And I did also do that. I did make, concrete, attainable goals with, timelines and plans and bullet point lists and all that jazz. But I did make a couple of vibe-based resolutions, because sometimes you just need to set a tone for the year. I'm, trying it out, seeing if it works for me. But one of the vibe-based goals that I set for the year was to consume all of my nicest things. Because I just keep and keep and keep and hoard and hoard and hoard. And especially with stuff like consumables, like food, if I get a really nice, food item, I save it for the, absolute perfect proper time to eat it, like a special occasion or whatever. And then, of course, it goes bad. And then with fabric items, with crafting materials, all that stuff, I have it and then it just sits around collecting dust. And it's like, well, if I have it, I should use it. Not every project is going to be the perfect, most specialist thing that's ever happened. But if I like crafting, if I like making things, if I like sewing, if I like knitting, if I like doing all this stuff, I should just do it. I should just make it happen. So in addition to actually trying to, you know, purge the material clutter out of my life, this is one way that I'm slowly starting to combat the hoard that I have, is just start using my stuff and not be precious about it. Because once I've used the material, then I have a usable item. Then I have something I can wear or something I can use. But I can't make the material useful if it's just sitting in a drawer. I actually have to turn it into something. Part of it also is getting over perfectionism, getting over feeling like everything has to be perfect all of the time. This skirt isn't perfect. The hem isn't totally even. I used the wrong bobbin in the machine, so there are sections of the bottom edge where the other thread is like way too tight because I was sewing too fast. I don't even know if I have enough fabric for a waistband. It's way shorter than I wanted it to be. And that's okay. It's practice. I've only made like 5 things ever. Maybe 6. That's not a lot. I have not made that many clothing items. So the fact that this skirt is not perfect is normal and okay. I'm literally a beginner. There's no reason for me to expect that I'm going to be perfect right out of the gate. Obviously, the perfectionist in my brain wants that. Obviously, that would be great if I was just really good at everything I tried at, you know, first blush. But even if, and, you know, I feel like I have pretty good, you know, I feel like some of the things about making clothes are not intuitive to me, but I understand them. I know how to do them. I know how to put 2 pieces of things together. I know how to make stuff even. I understand how working with material works and what making a wearable is like, because I've been knitting for almost like, not 10 years. That's a lie. Like 8 years. It's like, yeah, there are some things about sewing that do come more naturally to me. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with my machine most of the time when I'm not being poison to a mechanical device. But I'm also, like, teaching myself. I'm learning alongside a friend who's also a beginner, and we're not taking any classes, we're just sort of figuring it out as we go. Of course it's not going to be perfect. Of course there are going to be mistakes. Of course sometimes you're going to make an uneven thing. Of course there's going to be edges that aren't the cleanest. Sometimes the measurements are going to be a little bit off. That's part of the learning process. And it's not a total waste if I make something that's not totally perfect, because then now I have a piece of clothing, whether or not it's perfect, and then I've learned from it. Now I know what to do better next time. I made a shirt, a button-down shirt, that doesn't have any buttons on it yet, but I made a shirt. I didn't make the pattern, my friend made the pattern for me, but in drafting the pattern, in making the shirt, it's not a perfect shirt, but now we know what to do next time. Now we know how to make it better next time. Now we know how to adjust the pattern. Now we know what to do with, you know, the sleeves and everything like that. It took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to make a button-down shirt fit my body. That's the other thing, is learning how to make things that fit me. Like, custom-made clothes that I'm making for my proportions. Because I always have to get stuff tailored, because I'm 5'2". So I'm trying not to be overly precious about the materials that I have. I'm trying to just see them as materials and not, like, pieces of gold. The other rationale for waiting for the perfect project that my brain has adopted is one about, like, wastefulness. Because there's so much textile waste in the world, my brain says, oh, well, you know, it's actually good that we're keeping this stuff until the perfect moment so that we're not wasting it on something that you're not going to end up wearing. Or wasting it on part of a piece that's gonna end up not being used. But me messing around with secondhand bed sheets and making some mistakes with secondhand bed sheets is not causing the textile waste crisis that we have going on. Me taking secondhand bed sheets and trying to make a cape or trying to make a skirt and maybe not doing it perfectly, or maybe having to redo the hood of the cape 3 times. That's maybe not causing the insane amount of waste that's going on in the world. Like, yes, would it be better if I were absolutely perfect and I left no scrap unturned and every single inch of a piece of fabric that I got was used to its fullest potential? Obviously. But in the long run, was it a waste if I used the fabric for practice? Was it a waste if I learned something and improved my skills? No. No, it's not. And it's not like I'm gonna throw it away. Like, I'm gonna find some other use for the fabric that I end up not using, or the scraps, or the cabbage, or whatever. Me practicing sewing with some bed sheets is not a designer brand taking a knife to all of the handbags that they didn't sell, or dead stock at fast fashion companies just going straight to a landfill never worn. Also, in the long run, there's just so much more joy to be found in having a useful thing that you made with your own hands. It's so much more satisfying to have something that you created, that you worked hard on, where you can tell people, oh yeah, I made this, than having a fabric stash. It's way better to have useful things than fabric sitting in a drawer. So this orange skirt, which I haven't yet finished, is me trying my best to not be overly precious about the materials that I have and to consume all of my nicest things.